individually, but as this is truly a CrossFit power couple, I think it's only fair to bring them on together. And as I wouldn't want to insinuate that one of them is better at CrossFit than the other, I will just give you their combined open finish. So I did a little bit of maths. I came up with an average. So we have a 59th place finish worldwide, a 32,587th. I've added that together, divided it by 2. So theoretically, they have an average finish of 16,322 worldwide in the open. Unfortunately, only one of them then got to continue on to semifinals. They finished 18th worldwide, quarterfinals, 18th worldwide, first at their semifinal, and 15th at the CrossFit Games, jumping up more than 10 spots from their rookie year. And if you're thinking, well, I hope someone is documenting all these incredible feats of fitness, don't worry. That is why they are a CrossFit power couple, because the man is always there with a camera capturing the memories. So will he be taking pictures of the podcast? Only time will tell. Please welcome the fantastic team of Antun and Abbie Domit.
Hey, Jason.
Hey.
Hello, the Domits. Welcome. How
Thank
you
you
guys?
for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. This was like my favorite part of FitFest, was just telling people, so when are you coming on the show?
Yes.
Like, forget all of this, forget the crowd, forget the fitness, just now we're friends. When are you coming on the show? Yeah. That's all I wanted to know.
Loved meeting you there, and we had a blast. So
did you have a good time though? Really? That's a good question, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The festival or the trip in general?
Oh, well, a bit of both. I mean, I want to ask you about the trip. Did you do anything before? I know you went traveling a bit after.
Everything was after, pretty much, because before, when we got there, I mean, for 2 days we didn't have any of our luggage. Like, we had nothing with us, so it was, I mean, it all worked out. But no, we weren't gonna do anything before anyways. Our plan was always travel a little bit afterwards.
What a serious athlete. Get business sorted first.
Take care of that, and then we'll go have fun.
We'll have some time for some fun afterwards. Yeah, why not? Sounds like a plan to me. But what was some of the highlights of the festival then? Because I think both of you sort of commented on it not being what you expected when you got there.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess because, I mean, maybe I should have thought about this beforehand, like Fit Fest. I didn't think of it. I was like, oh, wait, it's a fitness festival, and there were so many different fitness modalities. As far as, like, there was the indoor rowing championship, there was the like the obstacle course stuff. There was all kinds of stuff going on, and I didn't know what to expect going in. I mean, I just kind of was like, well, it sounds fun. Let's go. Sorry, you might hear one of our cats. She's
just one.
Right now.
That's all right. Bring her on the show. It's fine.
She might jump up here. So, what did you think?
Oh, I loved it. I wasn't like you said, I wasn't expecting to be like a festival. It's a fitness festival. It almost feels like a music festival, but instead of music, it's like people working out. You know, it's kind of cool. It was almost like it felt like a Wodapalooza, but in the UK. Almost like it felt like that.
Raining.
People are very relaxed. I like it. People are having fun. I don't know if you've ever been to Wodapalooza, but it feels like it's one of those festivals where you can like be relaxed, having a good time. It's not so serious. It's not like semifinals, for example, where like everybody's on the line. You got to perform. Everybody's kind of anxious. Like, oh, am I going to get cut? Am I going to go? It's one of those festivals where people are just having fun, and the people are great. I mean, I was surprised how nice people are. How nice people are in the UK. Yeah, they're very nice.
Friendly,
yeah, very friendly.
Yeah, surprised how nice.
And how much they drink. That's also another
yeah,
thing.
I wasn't surprised by that, but
no, it's just
it was a nice bonus, I'd say.
Yeah, it's just they're very different than other parts of Europe, you know. But it was great.
Depending where you go,
yeah. That was one of the things at Rogue that a lot of the athletes, when I were interviewing them, because obviously, as you said, like FitFest, very relaxed, very chilled.
Yeah.
Rogue, not so relaxed. Athletes,
right.
Very serious, very determined. And quite a few of them commented on like how polite the crowd were, and sort of even when they were trying to maybe get like, I think Ariel was saying like, they were like kind of, oh, Ariel, please, sorry, can we ask you a question? And she really liked that sort of thing. And and I suppose, well, I don't have the contrast. I've not been to Wodapalooza, but I have to go. And people are like, why have you come to Wodapalooza? I'm like, well, I just need to compare the American crowd. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
What about the fitness? Yeah, the fitness is secondary. I'm doing research. I need to know.
Yeah. I feel like for me last year at Wodapalooza, that was something when I was like meeting people, a lot of them like weren't really involved. Like they didn't do CrossFit or they weren't involved with it at all. And so, but they knew about the festival and they liked fitness. And so they were there to just have a good time and, you know, watch fit people do whatever they want to do, you know?
Yeah. I really like the, cause I suppose with Wodapalooza, it's a little bit more CrossFit focused, right? So kind of, even if you might not do CrossFit, but you're kind of there because it's, you know, CrossFit's happening, and is that sort of the main thrust?
That's the main, yeah.
Whereas FitFest, it was like people were there for powerlifting. They were not there for CrossFit, but hey, what is going on? There's a big crowd gathering over there. Let me go and have a look. Or they were there for rowing, but you know, there's a big crowd over there. Let me go and have a look. And I think that's like the best thing, because that's how you get people exposed just to different aspects of fitness, different things to do, and be like, oh, you know, I might give that a go. That looks fun. Yeah, especially I think if they see a workout that they think they would crush.
Yes.
They're like, oh, I would have absolutely crushed. Those guys were so bad at that. And you're thinking, yeah, because that is one element that was quite, you know, maybe there was some deadlifts in a workout, and you're like, well, yeah, you're a powerlifter, you're good at deadlifts, but
yeah,
it's not always like that. But come on, give it a go.
Yeah, I do think it was if I went in and I liked to work out, but I don't know anything about any of that stuff. If I would have showed up there, I would have definitely been able to have a good time and learn more about things in a much more open setting, instead of just being like thrown into something and being like, what is this? You know, it's a cool way to experience it, I feel like.
And it was cool how they even got to do the Ninja Warrior type obstacle course. I think that was fun. Cool.
Yes. Let's talk about that. First of all, though, let's just, Corey is just saying, you know, Sunday shows. I know. People are not expecting this from me, but you know, I quite like it. If people come to them, I might do more, because it's a lot more relaxing than like rushing back from work. And then he says, Abigail is the real deal. There we go. Now, talking of Abigail being the real deal, how quick you shot under the cargo net on the obstacle course was like, I don't know, it looked like you'd spread butter or something on the bottom, because you just sort of like dived and whoom, underneath. Did you know you had that skill?
No, I don't think I'd ever done that before. I did purposely keep like my shirt on to be a little bit more slidey. But
yeah,
they were like, just you got to slide and go fast. So I figured there was only one way to do it.
Yeah. Who cares what's in front of me? I'm just going fast. No, you're right. That was a real fun thing to see you guys sort of a little bit out of your element, doing something different. It was enjoyable, but also a bit mean to then see like a pro do it at the end and really put you guys to shame.
But at least he didn't go first. No. If he would have went before us, that would have been even more. We would have just been, all right.
I don't even want to know.
I think if he'd gone first, I would have loved to see what Nick Matthew tried, because I think he would have. He'd have been like, oh, so I can skip half the rings. Here we go. And just sort of,
exactly. We would have been like, oh, I guess we're supposed to skip until the last rig, and then that's how we're supposed to do it, right? Let's try it.
Yeah. But you know, it was fun. And I mean, yes, Colton hurt himself a little bit, but you know, that's
yeah.
But I mean, that man was on autopilot all weekend anyway. He was.
Yeah.
I think he woke up on the flight home, probably.
Literally, yeah. He flew in the day before, and he's like, yeah, I haven't slept, but here we go. And we're all just like, you know, that's the usual, right? So.
Yeah. And then he kept complaining that he wasn't allowed to do all the workouts.
Yeah.
He was even considering doing one of those Kill Taylor workouts. I'm like, man, this guy's crazy. How you be like in between events? He's gonna, and it was like a rope climb workout. It was like
they were setting up for it. They were gonna try and do it. Oh, here comes one of them.
Sorry.
Okay, here we go.
They were trying, and he was like, "Man, can we make this work?" And I think they needed one of the other divisions was like using the rope or something, and then and then we had to go do our event, and we were like, "Okay, we'll push back our event so you can get your Kill Taylor in, and then we'll go to our." We're like, but that would have been crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there was because obviously you guys are on the same field as the triple threat competition, and so there was already like multiple divisions running through that, like the timetable always insane. But yeah, anyway, then you got to have some fun after. So you went off to Budapest.
Yes, we didn't have anything booked. We didn't have anything planned. It was literally, I was just talking to some of the volunteers there because they were all going to go to Budapest for the the world.
The IF3 world. IF3 worlds. Yeah.
Yes. And they were talking about like the thermal baths, and we just, in that moment, we just were like standing there like cold, and we're like, thermal baths, that sounds good. Like, maybe we should go to Budapest tomorrow. And so it just so happened that we decided to go and spend a few days there.
It's a beautiful city. I had never been to Budapest. I've been many parts of Europe, but Budapest, I think, is one of those cities that you could say still has that European feel to it. It's
very
not
authentic.
That's what I want to say. Yeah. It feels authentic. You go to all these cities now and
less globalized.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I found it really easy to like travel around as well. Like the public transport, stuff like that was really sort of a simple system to move around. And I got there, I think, the day after you left. And I did not get to enjoy the thermal baths, I'm afraid.
You got to go again then.
Yeah.
I have to go again. Yeah. It was because that event, the IF3 Worlds, had like 800 plus athletes. So it was starting early, finishing late. And I was there just sort of the whole day, just in a building. Yeah.
Oh man.
And then we had, I think, Monday morning to kind of go and see the city. And we like quickly went around, there's the bridge, there's the thing. Take some pictures. And, we've got to get to the airport. Come on, let's go. But it was nice. I'm glad you had fun. Did you go anywhere after Hungary, or you went back home after that?
We went to Rome after.
Okay, Rome I've seen. Rome I've done.
Been to Rome a couple times. I had never been, and so we're like, it's December. Now's the time to go. If we're gonna go, then
I'm never going in the summer back there again. That's crowded.
Much less touristy during that time of the year in December when we were there. So I was like, now's the time. I want to see it, so let's go.
Did you like it?
Yeah. We had a really good experience. So that's amazing people.
Antun's laughing when you said that.
No, it's because the first night we got there kind of late. We had a night flight. And we were literally staying downtown, like near the Pantheon, right? Like right next to it. That little, that's like a little square where there's restaurants. So we went to go eat at one of those restaurants, and we were like the last customers. But our waiter was really nice, very Italian, like very friendly, talkative. Like he brought us wine, and like
he loved us from the very beginning.
Yeah, he loved us for some reason. He brought us dessert for free. He was like, hey, this guy's being like extra nice. Like I don't know what's going on. So we were like, it's already good. It's like 11:50 or something like that.
It's about to turn midnight, and we were just saying, we're like, okay, like we're gonna go, and he's just like, oh, please don't go, We're like, well,
like we're the last people here. Yeah, can we get to check what's going on? And then he comes in. He's like, it's the boss's birthday. So he brings out a cake with candles, and we were like the only people in the restaurant, and then just like all the employees.
He's like, we have to go sing to the boss. We have to go sing to him happy birthday. Come. And so we all like run inside, and it's like a restaurant where it's also an apartment where they live there, and so it's kind of their home.
No, it's not an
like
apartment.
The upstairs.
No, it's a building, and the downstairs is a restaurant, and then there's condominiums.
Apartments above.
So it was literally us, the employees, and some close friends of them. They start singing the cake, start taking pictures. They open the bottles of champagne, and we all start partying with them. It's like, what's going on,
And they put us in the pictures, and we're the strangers, and it's like 4 of their like close friends, and we're like,
maybe you don't know. Maybe they're massive CrossFit fans.
They didn't even know about CrossFit.
Like, you don't even know who this is.
So friendly. And they wanted us to join their party. And honestly, like we ended up going back a couple days later to eat there again. And then they offered us like a really good deal to,
if we ever want to stay
come
there.
back, we can stay there. So we're like, okay. But
be careful. They want something.
Doesn't count.
It's the Italian way. Anyway. That's fine.
It's actually funny when you brought up like the easy transportation in Budapest, because for the most part, I agree. We did have a little bit of a mix-up one time on the
So okay,
tram.
so you know how there's the subway, right, or
Yeah.
or the metro or whatever you call it in Europe, like the underground train. So that was easy, very self-explanatory. You pay with your card, it's down there, everything. But then there's parts in Budapest where you have to go over on the tram, which is above ground, and we didn't know where to buy the tickets for that. So we're like, where do we buy the tickets? Should we just hop on and figure it out?
Because everything was through our phone. Everything was like tap on, tap off.
So
then we get on the tram. We're like, we'll just do that, And then
right away we get in, and then these two ladies come and they're talking
tickets. Where's
Hungarian.
your tickets?
And I thought we were like, oh, we can just buy them here. Before I know it, they're talking a different language, right? They're not talking English. So I'm figuring, oh, okay, they're going to charge me for our tickets, whatever, right? By the end of everything, they give me the receipt, and it was like $60 some. I'm like, what? For a tram ride?
When it was supposed to be like $5.
It turned out it was
a fine for not having it.
Fine. Yeah, we got fined. So I'm like, what's going on? I started getting a little upset. Like, for a train ride, come on. Like, I didn't know. Like, explain this to me. I'm buying my tickets. Anyway, it happened. I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't want to deal with it. But then this lady on the tram, hold on. She told us.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, next time you guys get fined, they always do this to a tourist or whatever.
Yeah.
Just say you can't pay for it and leave. Like, just walk, and they'll ask for your address and they'll mail it to you. And then by then you'll be in your hometown or whatever, and you don't have to pay for it. So I remembered that. Anyway, the next tram ride on the way back, I'm like, all right, let's get our tickets, because we made sure we figured out how to buy.
We'll have them.
What good citizens you are.
So
good,
we went
good ambassadors for the US, saying, well, we're not going to do that.
Listening to this, take note. We buy our tickets, whatever, it's like $1 or whatever. Great. Okay, we have them on hand, right? It's like this little barcode. Okay, so we're walking, get on the tram, and we have it in our hand, thinking, okay, whenever those ladies come in and scan, we give them to them, right? So they come back in, tickets, please. All right, here we happily give it to them.
Here you go.
And then they start taking out that little notepad with the fine thing. I'm like,
she's
what's
like,
going on?
No, not valid.
Not valid. What do you mean not valid? Here's a ticket. No, you didn't validate it. You need when you walk into the tram.
Yeah, you got to stamp. Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I didn't know that. Like, we don't do that stuff here in San Antonio.
So go stamp it. And she was like, no,
too late.
We've been on the train 15 seconds. We're like, go stamp it then.
So she writes up 2 other fines, and I'm like, no. I showed her the 2 other fines. Come on, like, help me out. And she's translating everything into English on her phone.
Yeah.
So we can't even understand each other. I have to be reading what she's saying, and it's like a whole deal. I'm like, no. I told Abby, we're getting off the tram. We got off the tram. They started following us, and I'm like, no, I'm walking. Like, I was really pissed. And like, oh, we're gonna call the police. And I'm like, oh man, when they said that, I don't want to be like in jail in a country I just like. Anyway, we start getting an argument, like,
and we're like, no, we don't have any money. We can't
I just said I can't pay for it. Obviously, I did have money, and I just, all right, give me your license. They're taking down my address. Like, send it to me by mail.
I say,
whatever.
No, I say I don't have my license. I'm like, no, obviously I did, but like I'm not giving you my license, And so, but then she had already taken his, and I'm like, dude, just grab it and like let's go. But she was like, kind of hiding.
I guess the thing you should show them is your passport doesn't have your address on it, does it?
No, and I was okay with giving
that's the right thing. Be like, no, the document I have is my passport. My passport doesn't have my address on it. I don't, what license should I give you? I'm not driving.
Yeah, and I would have been happy to just give them the address. Like, I don't care. Like, when that shows up in a couple of weeks at home, I'm just gonna tear that paper up and not pay for it.
Yeah, because we're like, realistically, are they really gonna go through the trouble of sending it all the way here and for this fine?
It was so dumb.
One day there's a knock at your door.
Come on, we bought our ticket. We just don't understand the language. We don't have a metro system here in San Antonio. Like, we're not used to it.
Like, we would have never thought, like, once you get on and then you have to go and stamp it and do, we could have just done that if, like, they'd be like, oh, just go stamp it. Like, okay, now we know. But it was a whole ordeal.
Yeah, it's it's good that didn't happen to you in Italy, because the trains are the same there. If you buy the train ticket, you get your ticket, and then you have to go and stamp it. There's like these little yellow machines, and they've kind of got like a slot. You just slide it in, and it stamps the date on it. And I mean, the reason they do that is because people do keep the ticket, and they'll like travel 3-4 times on the train, and then if they see the person coming, they're like, oh, I've got to. But you can't stamp it on the train. You have to stamp it at the station. There's like there's nothing on the train that you can quickly do it. So it is, I kind of get. Well, it's funny because we didn't use this tram. We just used buses when we were there. And we just like had an app, and it was just like, go Budapest, And it was great because I just was like, where do we need to go? And then it would you'd almost like Google Maps, you'd put like, where do you need to go? And then it would just give you all the different bus routes. And it would be like, you should take this bus.
Yes.
And then you would just, okay, I just jump on that bus. And like they had like a QR code on the side of the bus. If you scanned that, it like started your ticket, and then your ticket lasted, 24 hours, 72 hours, whatever. And just, you went with that. I was like, oh, that's easy. What annoyed me is that on our first day, we bought a 72-hour ticket thinking, well, we might need to move around. And then because we were just in the same location, my hotel was walking distance to the venue and we were there all day, we never used the bus again. So we paid for a 3-day ticket for one trip, but at least it wasn't a $60 fine for.
So they trip.
Oh, that's the joys of travel, huh? These are the things that CrossFit has opened up to you, Abbie. These possibilities to travel the world using your fitness has given you the chance to get a fine in Budapest. I mean, wow.
Yes.
Who knew?
We were used to all the other ones where it's just all digital. Or I like the way they have it in France or in the UK where it just like scan your card and
in London,
the
just
tap and pay,
like tap on, tap off.
Yeah, easier.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Italy, a friend of mine from Italy they were bringing their kids to the UK for the first time, and they were going to London, and they were like, oh, we need to get, like, our friend has said to get an Oyster card, and then we could do this, and we should preload it with this. Do you know? And I'm just thinking, I'm hardly ever in London. And if I'm in London, it's for like a day max, and I will just tap on, tap off. Like, I don't know about saving money over 3-4 days. Like, I was like, oh, you coming down to visit me? And they're like, oh, no, we've only got one day. I was like, okay. Well, fine. Hello. Oh, sorry. Chris from San Antonio too. Oh, okay.
Hey.
There we go.
What's
Interesting. What's up? Yeah. So are you leaving tomorrow for Wodapalooza?
On Tuesday.
Tuesday. Oh, okay. So you've got loads of time. That's a whole extra day that I didn't know you had. Looking forward to it?
Oh yeah, we are so excited.
What will you be doing at Wodapalooza this year?
So we'll do indie Thursday, Friday, and then team Saturday, Sunday. And then we got a bunch of meet and greet stuff going on, a bunch of stuff with tier. So it's going to be a big working weekend and tons of fun.
Yeah. Who's on your team?
Ariel and Emily.
Yeah, I think I've heard of them.
Yeah,
might have met them.
Kind of a team at FitFest. So
yeah, it's a little FitFest reunion, isn't it? Oh,
it'll work out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think Colton's not going, is he? I think he's not going to Wodapalooza.
No, I think he was the only person from FitFest who won't be in Miami, actually.
Because I was going to say, otherwise, I think it is pretty much a reunion, isn't it? Like, especially of your team, because I know Shelby's going, I know Fee's going.
Yes. It's going to be so fun.
Yeah.
It's always a party.
It is always a party. A party I'm never invited to, but it's always a party, so that's nice.
You got to just show up. Don't invite yourself.
Yeah. Well, one day, if I wasn't paying all these fines, then maybe I could afford to go. Yeah, Antun just keeps giving them my address instead of his address. This is the trick.
We did do that. We wrote it down. So sorry about that.
That's okay. It's fine. It's a fine, literally. Antun, what will you be doing at Wodapalooza?
Cheering,
running around.
I have
running around the sand.
A lot of work, making sure she's fed, she's good to go anywhere, carrying bags, taking pictures, everything.
Yeah,
jack of all trades.
Yeah, he's a
he is a Renaissance man. You're right. I want to ask about the pictures. Also, hello, Augustus. Nice to see you.
Hey.
I saw on your media page on Instagram, I think you've put like hobby or something like that. Just kind of like, I mean, for a hobby, you're getting some great shots, and
thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I see them pop up in other places, and like, I think it's one of the things where I'm sure I've seen your photos before, like in other places, but because I didn't know you, I'm not making that like mental connection that I am now. So every time I see them pop up, I'm like, okay. Now I know. Now I'm seeing all the little links. So, like, how did that happen? Why did you decide? Was it just because you were at these places and you were like, I mean, I'm cheering on anyway, I might as well take some pictures, or was it always a passion before that?
I've always liked it, particularly like growing up. I had like my little camcorder, with the cassette inside. when I was a kid with my brothers trying to. Obviously, it was different back then because you can do the post editing, right? So you would have to edit on the fly, basically like record something. If you didn't like it, you had to rewind and record on top of it and stuff like that. But I've always kind of liked it. I just never really put it together like with CrossFit. I also, like, before CrossFit, Abby was doing auditions for like movies and stuff like that. She was also kind of doing modeling. So that's when I had to, like, okay, got to start looking into cameras. And I really started getting into the hobby of, learning how to shoot, like,
for like audition takes,
what your shutter speed needs to be at, frames per second, all that stuff when you're filming, right? And I would have to do Abby's auditions. I would take it seriously. I bought the microphone. I started getting into it. And then eventually she started doing CrossFit. And like, I always wanted, not just be with my phone recording or whatever. And it's exciting. So I guess, I don't know, it just kind of took over.
You're just like, I started learning about lenses and cameras and look at him now.
Look at him now. Look at him now. Yeah.
I like it. It's a hobby. I'm not a professional, but I mean, I enjoy it. It's a good hobby.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's genius. The like you two as a couple. Like, that's why, I was joking, but not really, when I'm saying like, oh, they're a CrossFit power couple, but you kind of are, because like there was a young athlete that I know who's doing fine, like doing pretty well. I've seen it at like teen comps and stuff, and that top end teen, let's say, older teen, and I realized he was dating, and I don't know if he still is, which is why I'm going to speak very much in generalities, but he was dating the daughter of like a photographer I know who's quite used a lot in the CrossFit space. And you really started to notice it, because you were like, oh, all the stuff on his Instagram is like really polished. It's really good. He's got like amazing photos. He gets great shots from competitions. He gets great shots kind of training in the gym. And then I start seeing him pop up in like ads for products and stuff. And I was thinking, well, how's this happened? And then I discovered this relationship. And you're like, yeah, of course, if you've got an amazing subject and then you've got someone who's always available kind of to picture all the different elements, I mean, that works so well. I mean, your Instagram is like, the feed is beautiful, right? Like, it's so curated, but not, I don't like to say curated, because usually on this podcast, historically, when I've said someone has a curated Instagram feed, it means like fake, kind of, it's not genuine. It's all like, okay, here's an ad for this product, and here's an ad for this product, and an ad for this product. And it's like yours, it's genuine in that it's all you, and it's just every picture looks polished, kind of.
Yeah. It's not just, take a,
exactly. Yeah. Here's a selfie that's uploaded. Good. Sponsors are happy. Move on. No, it's like, I think it's good. I think it's nice that you've kind of, and if you're already passionate about the photography and stuff, that's cool.
Oh, I enjoy it.
Yeah. Because I had the opposite like issue, in that I started doing everything I did was audio. It was conversation. It was like podcasts before there were video elements to them. And then you had to bring the video side in afterwards. And when I was going to events, it was kind of like, well, everything I do is talking to people, and now I need to video that, and I don't know anything, and and I used to get put on like media teams, and I was like, well, what do you want me to do? Because I'm not a photographer and I'm not a videographer. And that was sort of all media teams knew how to run at CrossFit events, because that's all they did. So I'd like the opposite thing of kind of having to try and learn a bit about this just to be able to put something out. So anyway, who cares? That's my burden.
Yeah, because I like to me, like, and you too, I mean, it's always been like about the art. Like, I don't know. I mean, I've always enjoyed like how things are going to come out to look, and you like to make them look nice too. And just, I don't know. I don't like when stuff is just cheesy and poor quality. And I don't know. I have my own tastes for things.
We try. I mean, obviously, sometimes there's not a lot of time, because obviously sometimes sponsors require that you post a certain amount of times and stuff like that, and you can't always have the time to shoot and edit and all that stuff on a good quality basis. But I mean, we try our best. Sometimes it's like, hey, I got to do this for tier. It's like, oh, can I shoot it or whatever? Like, let me shoot it and see if you like it, and we can tweak it, do some edits here and there. And
Abby, are you like saying, look, I need it now? and he's like, oh, it's not quite ready yet. I think I can make it look a bit, and you're sort of, no, look, darling, it's fine, it's good, it's perfect. let's go with this. No, I think I can make it a little bit better.
It depends, like, because there's certain things that I'm picky about, and there's things that he's kind of picky about, and so if we can just compromise, so it goes back and forth, I'd say.
Okay, I have a question for you, but first we'll just ask Augustus' question. What's the temperature where all you guys are?
So right now we have it in Fahrenheit. It's 39, but it feels like 28. So
okay.
whatever that is in Celsius.
And that's a big. We're going through a big cold front right now.
Yeah, it's gonna.
Are you? Let me translate that. So what was that? Sorry, 39.
So we're at 39,
okay.
but it feels like 28. And
okay, which would be so that would be about 4 degrees if it feels about 28. -2. Ooh, yeah, that is cold. It's about 2 degrees here, so it's the same. It's the actual temperature is the same here and where you are. I don't know what the feel's like.
Okay, and it's sunny. Like that's crazy because it's just a little windy. Like it's 11:30 a.m. here.
It's just because it's supposed to freeze today and tomorrow. So like normally it's like it doesn't get that cold here. Really, this is like the coldest it gets.
Okay, so we've question asked, question answered. Now I have a question because you mentioned the modeling and the acting, and what was interesting. And the reason I wanted to ask you about that is when I was typing in your name to look up your CrossFit page, like the first kind of, when you get like the auto fills from Google, maybe like the third or fourth one down was like Abbie Domit modeling, and I was like, so I was like, what's that? And then he's mentioned that you did some modeling, so I'm curious now, was that something you'd done? Like, what's the story there? And also the acting thing. I'm very curious about both sides of this.
So I modeled for about 3 years. It was during college.
Okay, because you just looked at me a bit when I said that, a bit like, I don't know where that could have come from. And then you're like, well, I modeled for 3 years. Well, then that could explain why there's something on the internet saying that you did modeling, I guess.
It was like 2017, 18, and 19. Right. And then as far as so with that, I worked with an agency in LA called LA Models. So I would kind of spend go back and forth, half the year there, half it here. But I would also do online classes because I was in college. I would use that to pay for college and, buy myself a car and do stuff like that. As far as acting, I had got a manager who would just send me on auditions and stuff. And so I did do a couple freelance things for acting, but they were a little crazy. So they weren't part with my manager. He would have probably not recommended them, but fun experiences. So
is that something you might go back to? Once the CrossFit stuff dries up, you're like, okay, now I'll go back to acting.
If an opportunity arises, I might say yes. I don't know if it's adventurous and if it sounds cool, I'm game.
Do you have an IMDb page? That would be a good question.
I think I do. Yeah.
Oh no, here we go.
Yeah, but
all right, we'll look that up in a second. I'll be looking up in the background. We'll say hello to Jeffrey as well. Good morning. I think he's also in Texas, but that's.
Good morning, Jeff.
Morning.
Yeah. Meow. Good morning to you too.
Crazy. They want to be a part of this. We keep letting them out, and then they come back.
Bring them on the show. We've had quite a few pets on this show in the past. We got Fee's dog on yesterday on Thursday, so that's fun. I guess I'm curious with the modeling.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of modeling was that? Because I don't see you as a catwalk kind of model. That doesn't strike. I mean, if you jump from catwalk model to CrossFit athlete, that is incredible, and that needs to be something that people talk about. So I'm assuming it was more like sports modeling type stuff. But
before I started I've gained 25 to 28 pounds.
Right.
Since I started CrossFit, so I was a lot thinner. But yeah, when I was modeling, I wasn't tall because I'm when I was modeling, I would say I was 5'8". I'm probably more like 5'7.5".
Right, okay.
But yeah, you need to be like at least 5'10", 5'11" to do catwalk, runway.
Yeah.
So I did more.
Oh, sorry, I forgot that you are actually a model, and I should be using the correct terminology. I'm sure I upset you.
Yes,
I don't want to offend your people. I'm so sorry.
I did a lot of just like e-com work, which is just like you go in, you're just there for like 8 hours, super quick, throw it on, shoot, throw it on, shoot, over and over and over, a million different outfits. There's a lot of boutique work. I tried like a little bit of commercial, but I wasn't really the right fit for it. That's more kind of like type stuff.
There you go. You've got the range. We just saw it.
If you scroll down far enough on her Instagram, like to those days, you can see how she looked before CrossFit, and it was like very different.
There was
everybody's got some homework, so go and do that. And what you're going to find is, as people are trying to quickly scroll down later today, I mean, you're going to get like somebody accidentally liking a post from years ago, and then you're going to know what they're looking for.
We'll make sure that'll tell us that they were looking at this podcast.
Yeah, well, that's good too as well.
Exactly.
So, thank you. Let me know who they are.
When you said like more sports stuff, because that's the thing. They kind of wanted me to go do more like Lululemon type stuff, and I was down for it because I remember my very first job. It was with Moschino, and they were trying to put these thigh-high boots on me. And at the time, I just had these like weird feet that were smaller than what they should have been for my height, and so the foot size was small, but the thigh size, the thigh size was actually small. It was my calves. My calves were the issue because I had big calves. Yeah. And this guy is talking to me, and he's French, and he has a very strong accent. And he's just like, are you sporty? Like, you sporty? And I was like, what is he trying to tell me? And I'm like, oh, sporty. Am I sporty? And I was like, yeah. Because at the time I would like run a lot and stuff. And I was like, oh man, like, they're going to send me home because they can't get these boots on me. And it was actually really embarrassing. But then they took them off, and they're like, we're going to have to do something else. And so they're like, go back to the couch and sit there. I was like, oh gosh. But yeah. I was like, oh no, my huge calves. But eventually, obviously, I went into fitness years down the road. Little did they know.
So, well, were you sporty? Oh, sorry, sporty? Were you sporty? You said you did running, but like pre-running, were you?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've always like been athletic. I've always kept up with it. I've always saw like working out as just like a normal part of life that everybody should do. Just like eating food and drinking water, you should also work out. Yeah. So I would keep up with it. Seems like good.
I such a casual approach for someone who has then made it to the games. Do you know what I mean? Like if I was speaking to someone else, and or even somebody who's doing like was at Triple Threat and they did well at Triple Threat, and I'd be like, yeah, kind of, I dabbled in sport and fitness to a degree. I'd be like, yeah, it makes sense. But then when you're like reaching the high heights, kind of what it takes to get to semifinals, to win a semifinals, to get to the games, you sort of expect them to be like, sport has been my passion. Even if it wasn't CrossFit, it would be like I was doing every morning 5 a.m. I was in the pool, I was swimming, at college, and then I did this and did that.
So natural, like that's what I mean. Like it's such a natural part of life. Like when I first started CrossFit, like I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people when they first begin, there's things they can't do. Like they can't, maybe they can't do a strict pull-up, or maybe they can't do a bar muscle up. To me, those are things that like, especially pull-ups. Like no matter who you are as a human, you should always be able to do that. And so on my first day of CrossFit, I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that. Like I could, but I also did like other sports growing up, of course, and I was involved in that. And when I did do them, I was very serious about them because I've always been very competitive. But it's always like, I've always seen it as just like it's just a way of life. It's just something that I think is just so natural, like to the human existence, like the desire to, like, I don't know, train, keep your body in shape, like just having fitness overall.
That's funny because I I wouldn't have thought we had anything kind of in common in the world of fitness, you and I, just because I think I am painfully aware of my inadequacies with regards to fitness. But and unlike you, I really didn't do any sport growing up. Like I was active, but I didn't really like sport. And even now, I don't follow like any sport that isn't somehow related to like functional fitness. I'm not following it. I don't care. I don't care. I do not care. I could not care. And it's the kind of thing of like, I'd rather watch a movie than a football match. You know, I like, at least that's sort of my thing. But I've always been able to do a pull-up. Like there's never, I cannot remember a time in my life when I couldn't. And I cannot remember a time where I've walked past a pull-up bar without going, wonder if I can still do a pull-up, and just jumped up and done it, right?
Just do it.
And now, and this is all way pre-CrossFit. And then when I went into doing CrossFit, of course, I could do pull-ups, you know, no problem straight away. Kind of, and I mean, you've met me. I'm small. I'm light. It's not like I'm pulling massive amount of weight up.
Right.
But it's like when people ask you advice on like how to get a pull-up, it's true. Like I know the advice in the sense of I know what people get told, and I kind of see what works, and then I have my own opinions on certain things of like, you know, I'd like to see people doing more negatives than bands and stuff like that, you know, just actually build the strength. But hey, sorry, I'm not coach. But it is hard because I think like, well, I've just always been able to do it. Like it's so, I'm a group, and like I like that my kids do that kind of stuff. And I found it so funny so this year at FitFest you had the traverses, like the monkey bars, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had them at UK Champs in July, so it was again at the NEC, same rig, sort of, they had it there, and it was fascinating watching these athletes panic, like, I don't know if I can do these. I've not done that. And I'm thinking, well, we do them all the time, because if we go to the park with the kids, they do them and I do them, and you know, you've got to kind of like bend your knees so you're not touching the floor and try and sort of do them. And I've got these people that I know are way fitter than me. Like on any test, they're gonna destroy me. When the open comes up, they are gonna like wipe the floor with me, but they're scared to do monkey bars.
Like the jumping into something weird and just like doing it. I love that. I love when they include stuff like that in CrossFit competition, or just like in general. I love when they give us like just like weird, like you figure it out type stuff, you know, instead of just the same old like, thrusters and wall balls and burpees and you know, because anybody can go and get good at that. Anybody, you know, you train it, the more you train it, you're eventually gonna get better, right? But just adapting on the fly.
I don't know, Abby. Like, eventually gonna get better. You're eventually gonna get better. Some of us are. No, you're right. I like that too as well. Actually, I do like. I mean, that's where I feel like the unknown and unknowable should come in. I feel like it's a phrase that sometimes it's almost like a justification for not telling people stuff, or just not having stuff figured out. Almost, it's like, oh no, you know, we can't know. But I do think the functional element of functional fitness also needs to be a mental element of like, you need to get this thing from A to B, figure it out. Like you figure it out. It's like, that's functional, right? Because in like when you're actually out working and you have to get this object from A to B, you are the one that has to figure out how to do that. And that's how, you know, you can apply your fitness outside of the gym kind of thing. So I do like that. And I think you're right. And it does quite often level the playing field for people that have, you know, the opportunity to set up bits of equipment that they've touched before and been able to use in their gym, and people that have come in and like, well, I've never seen this thing before, so it's not really fair. So let's get more of that. And Antun looked like he had something to say, but then I cut him off. So.
No, it is true. I mean, like, it's kind of like going back to FitFest when they did the obstacle course. It showed, you know, who has natural athleticism, you know, and who would, you know, struggles with, you know, the unknown, stuff like that. I mean, I'm not pointing any fingers at who, but that was a cool event to
go on.
Okay.
Point a finger.
No,
Let's make enemies. Let's make enemies. Come on.
Everybody did great, but you could see some people do better than others. So like, okay, what's the difference? They're both really fit, but not necessarily being fit is like, are you athletic? You know, like athletic and fitness don't necessarily go hand in hand always, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess
And then
that's like Abby's trying to say.
Yeah, I think it was Shelby that was saying, because I said about how like after you guys kind of all went back on and were like just practicing a little bit, even though you're not running it again, you're not going to do it again, but you were like, oh,
Like,
maybe
how
try the
could I
rings again. But I think Shelby was saying like, well, when do we get the chance to try these things? And if they show up somewhere else, that's the difference, right? Like we've had to go. It's unknown, but it's not the unknown because like we've done something similar, whereas maybe many of the other athletes that go there are like, oh, we've never run an obstacle, we've not done the rings like this, or you know, or those like ones that swing back and you had to kind of jump across. So
it's like I can't remember what it's called. It's like a graph. Excuse me, I have to cough.
That's why she didn't get the acting jobs. She had to walk off coughing in the audition, and they said,
sorry,
oh.
Sorry, I got a tickle. The cold front's giving me a dry throat. So I can't remember, like, it's like a graph or something. My coach has talked about it before, where like if you give a child a basketball, the first time they throw it at the hoop, they might completely, you know, throw it over the hoop, miss it. But the second time they do it is going to be like at least 50% better or something like that. Yeah. And so it's like the difference between the first time and the second time, even though it's like, oh, you've only done it one time, but that second time is so dramatically better than the first time. And then the third time is going to be a little bit less. It might not be 50% better. It might be 20% better. But you see what I'm saying? How like each time you do it, you'll get a little bit better. But the difference between that first and that second time is so huge. And that would carry on so much.
It's like rookie gains. No, that's what they call it. Like rookie.
Yeah.
You get the rookie gains, and then eventually it'll start getting to be, you know, those tiny little, those little 1 pound PRs that you get years later that you just celebrate so much. Whereas when you first start, you're like, oh, you know, 20-pound PR every week. And it's like,
it's when like you're just putting big plates on every time when you're going up. You're like, oh, that was a PR. Let me just add these other 2 massive plates on it. Oh, that was also a PR. And then you get to there at that point, you're like, what is the smallest piece of weight we have in this gym that I can glue to the bar and claim it's a new PR? Oh, that's interesting. That's a good point. I guess you don't know the weight of the ball. You don't kind of know what happens when you throw it. You don't really understand how it interacts with the air almost. And then you've done it once and you're like, okay, I've got some data. Let's see. And it's amazing, isn't it? Because like with kids, that's just instant. They're not even thinking about that. They're just like, okay, let me try again. And you're like, wow, that's
okay. It was better that time.
Yeah. If it gets worse, you're in trouble. Then you know you're not an athlete and you need to go and do something else. That's quite okay. Oh, I'm gonna just dip back into my. I don't even know if I want to ask this question. Well, Augustus asked, so we better. Can Abbie share any of the non-manager recommended acting jobs?
What was it, that page where you would be on?
Like the one in New Orleans.
Yeah, no, but there was like
a page.
Yeah. What was it called?
Backstage was an app or a page that I was able to meet some indie people,
like indie directors that want to make a film or whatever, like
that are like, yeah, come and, you know, like there was this one short film that we were in New Orleans for like 3 weeks, and it should not have taken anywhere near that long to shoot whatever the crap was that came out of it, but it was an experience I will never forget.
Yeah.
And
life experience, right? That's good.
Yeah.
Yes. I think Chris is not happy with Augustus's question, so she'll come on with like let's ask a more serious question. Are you still training at Elite, or did I just make that up?
Yes. Yep. Elite CrossFit.
Yeah. I feel like you have 2 different gyms on your. I feel like you both did the Open out of 2 different locations.
Did the Open?
No, yeah.
Elite,
so he means you have Lone Star there. And
oh yes,
so and you had Elite. Is that right, Antun?
Yeah, at Lone Star.
Okay.
It's further from where we live, and so it ended up getting to a point where it just made more sense for me to go to Elite as like my main, and then also my coach moved here. He literally lives right next to the gym. He rides his 1 wheel to the gym. He doesn't even drive there, so. Yeah,
that's good because that means he doesn't have a license on him for when they ask for a fine, and he's got to provide the
They take
Pretty
his
smart.
wheel away.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And I'm not asking that as part of the you know, the CrossFit police of like, hold on, you did the open in this affiliate, but are you not going to elite? I mean,
Yeah, it's
I don't care. That was interesting, you know, an interesting question, and you know,
Yeah, no, because I signed up under Lone Star for like 2 years, maybe 3 years. But then, yeah, after last year, it just made more sense to just. Eventually, I met the owner of Elite, and it was like, okay, well, this is close to my house. I'll just train here, and yeah, that's what we're doing. And he goes there, and a bunch of our friends go there, and I have a little crew that I train with in the mornings, and it's fun.
Awesome. You guys, I think maybe before we started, Antun, you were saying you're not ready for the Open this year, but I assume that means you're doing the Open this year?
Yes, I'll do it. I do it every year, even if I'm fit ready or not fit ready.
Yeah.
I mean, I I do it for fun. I like to do it with the Friday Night Lights or whatever, and also to support the sport, right? But yeah, you'll see me on the leaderboard.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, you'll be above me, don't worry. I'll see you there. We'll and Chris was saying the people from Elite CrossFit were always so incredibly nice whenever I visited. So
yes.
Good little shout out to the box there. Well done, Elite.
It's a good spot for sure.
Hopefully, when I go and visit Abbie and Antun, then we'll drop in.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You can even stay with us. We got many extra bedrooms.
Stay in our guest room.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, hold on. I was gonna say I better write that down. Everybody, so they said that live, and we've recorded it. When I turn up and I just have show a video. Remember when you said this?
Yes, proof right here.
Okay, I've kind of got two last little things I want to talk about because I don't want to steal all of your Sunday. One thing, it was a question I hadn't thought about. I mean, as if I really prepare, but I was just interested because we talked a bit about modeling, we talked a bit about acting, and you mentioned that. Oh, sorry, before I go, Jake's got to say, now that is a beard. There you go. There you go. And he's not the model. Would you believe? I know you don't believe it, right? He's the guy behind the camera. What a waste.
It's a tragedy.
You said that because I was asking if you were doing kind of sport modeling and stuff like that, and then you said you've put on weight, muscle, let's say, since you started. Was that at all? I'm just curious because obviously, a lot of people were they were athletes anyway. They maybe transitioned from one sport into CrossFit or from another kind of sporting venture into CrossFit. And, my body is a machine, a tool of fitness. So I want it to perform well. I don't care how it looks. With that background in modeling and acting, where I imagine people wanted you to look a certain way, and also with, your husband documenting everything on camera and you getting super crystal clear pictures and things like that, was there any kind of body image issues of I don't, when you're seeing your body change and you're like, yes, it's amazing how it can perform, but was there ever any kind of I don't know if I like the extra muscle or things like that, or was it just function over aesthetic, or you're actually happier with the aesthetic, anything like that? Just curious because of that model acting sort of link.
Yeah. As far as body image, I feel like I kind of already dealt with all that because of modeling.
Right.
And because of it becomes very subjective, and it's very blunt, and what people say to you and what when you're getting hired and you're working a job, because it's completely based off of, it's not who you are, it's what you are, what you look like.
Yeah. When you're saying that, but I've got a really nice personality, and they're like,
yes.
Yeah, that doesn't come out on camera.
And so I feel like that definitely, after that, it's going into CrossFit, it was completely different. I feel like there wasn't the whole oh my gosh, oh, what do I look like? Maybe a little bit at first, just because I was a little bit ignorant of the whole how quickly people put on muscle and stuff like that. Obviously, you're never gonna not look like yourself. It's always gonna be you. Your shapes might slightly the volume might get a little bit bigger, but your shapes are still the same pretty much. I feel like I had this idea that I was gonna not look like myself.
Right. Oh, okay, yeah.
But that's
Like
not
you look
true.
in the mirror and you're like, who's that? I don't recognize this person.
Exactly.
Kind of, yeah.
When that's not at all what happened. So I feel like there was a little bit of that in the beginning, for like a split second. But also he's also super good at building me up, and he was just like, nah, dude, fuck it. Like it's fine. Like, and then it got to a point I was like, oh yeah, you're right. All right. And so then it just became more of like, none of that matters anyways. It's all about how I perform. So,
because I think it's that thing where you're like in that CrossFit bubble, and it's like I'm so used to people looking that way because you see them all the time in the gym,
right.
and like watching events and things like that. And then occasionally I interact with people that perhaps we know the same person. We know this person from the box, but we know them for two different reasons. I know them because I go there. They know them because they work with them or something. And somehow we also know each other. And like they'll make a comment and it shocks me because I'm kind of like, oh, like what? You think that way? Like everyone I know looks like this and they're happy with this. And
Yeah.
like you're saying, oh, have you seen the way down? I'm thinking, have you seen them doing like unbroken muscle ups? Have you seen them doing that? Like they look amazing and performing like, and yeah. And I was just curious because, as you said, like in the modeling world, people are pretty blunt with, you know, like you'll come in and they're like too fat, and it's like the skinniest person I've ever seen, and they're like too fat. And you're like,
yeah.
What world are we living in? So
No,
I was
super blunt, and same with acting. It's very like, it doesn't like as soon as they look, if you're not exactly what they want for the part that they want, they're not even going to pay attention to anything else. And that's nothing.
You come in with the script in hand, and they're like, next. And you're like, well, hold on.
Yes, like, and that's the thing. Like, and you just have to accept that that's nothing to do with you. That's completely up to them. And like once you can get through that, it completely changes your perspective. But yeah, I feel like just like kind of all that happened, it made the transition into CrossFit just like not a big deal, really.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think you have so this is an interesting tangent I wasn't anticipating, but do you think you have tougher skin in general for people talking about you because of the acting and the modeling, in the sense of, you know, when you hear commentary and people are like talking about your performance and how an event went for you, or, you know, critiquing something, do you find it easier to kind of shrug that off because you're like, well, compared to things I've heard, you know, that were like, you could, because I guess it's like, you know, if you didn't perform as well as you would have liked to, subjectively that's true, isn't it? Whereas if you don't look the certain way someone in their mind imagines somebody should look, that's very kind of intangible, and you're like, well, I don't even know what they're basing that on. So you know, how do you find hearing people comment about, you know, how they expect you to finish at an event, or, you know, where they think you're going to rank overall this year in the season, or, you know, how you performed on a specific workout? Or do you just send Antun after them and be like, go get him?
I would say yes. I mean, there has been times in the past where certain things, like every once in a while, I feel like if you catch me on like a bad day, or if I have a lot of stuff built up, then it might affect me differently. But I feel like for the most part, yeah, like I feel like you just get to a point, especially if you've been doing it for a while, you just realize like, no matter what, like nobody knows the full story of anything. Like people are going to say stuff. You know, even for example, like this past year at the games, I definitely did not end up where I expected to, where I wanted to. But you know, a lot of stuff happened and everybody knows that. And people like, I have at the end of the day, I have a good group of people around me who support me, and you know,
that's
next time.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think when we think about the games this past year, we quite often, it seems that we look at it as people finishing higher than they maybe should have. People are like, oh, you know, I think they finished higher than they should have because other people withdrew or because this one dropped out, things like that. And we don't think about, well, actually people that stayed and competed maybe didn't finish as high as they could have because they were dealing with a lot of other stuff going on as well. And so,
yeah,
you know, it isn't one way, right? It's there was fluctuations for, you know, higher positions than maybe people thought they would get, as well as as lower outside.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on, and I think a lot of people realize like there's a lot of stuff that wasn't tested that was supposed to be tested. You know, as far as programming, they took events out that we didn't do, and then they changed. Like there was a million things. You know.
Very good. Okay, so final thing is, as I've got you on together, how long have you guys been together?
So we met the first time we met was in August of 2016.
Okay.
So
yeah.
And
how did you meet?
A little bit later. I worked in a restaurant, and at the time I was standing at the front.
She was the host.
I was a waitress, but that particular day I had picked up my friend's host shift. Because I was a host previously, so I could still like take those shifts if
okay. Yeah, you had the skill. You've got the skill set. You're right.
Yeah. So I was at the front that day, and he came in with some buddies, and he was just kind of talking to me, and yeah, he asked for my contact, and I was like, well, you can have my Instagram, shoot me a message, whatever. And then
the rest
he was like, I can fix this Instagram. Don't worry. Trust me. I'm
Yeah, I went into the DM, started messaging her, asked her out on a date, you know, and after that we started dating, you know.
Our first date was a triple date. Well, it was a 3-person date of us two and my best friend.
Right.
Because he kept offering, he's like, let's go out, But I just was like,
you can't trust this guy.
Once he brought up bringing a friend, I was like, that sounds fun. That sounds interesting. And so the 3 of us went out to dinner. And then we met his brother, who's like his best friend, and the 4 of us hung out all night. So it
became like a double date basically in the end.
I see.
And then the rest is history.
I mean, I've got to ask now if your brother and your best friend had suddenly started dating as well, or if that was just
no, it would have been big. They did kind of like
they had a little thing,
but it didn't flourish into anything.
Yeah.
Okay. She ended up moving to Houston and stuff like that.
She ended up moving away.
Yeah. Well, she had to escape somehow, I suppose. That's.
I gotta go this. I don't know what's going on here. I was like, I'll stick around. But
okay, well, there's a little bit of advice for people. You know, if you're an intimidating figure like Antun and you're afraid that the person just does not trust, just tell them to bring a friend as well. Say, hey, bring a friend. That's all absolutely fine. Yeah. And Jon has arrived just in time for us to say goodbye, so that's really good. So,
thank you.
Yes.
Well, that's lovely. Yeah, as I've got you on, I've got to ask. I need the background. I need, and it was a good story as well. So that's nice. I look at this. Come on. I like this dude's beard.
Thank you.
That's great.
Well done, Antun. So the beard's staying, right? There's no way you can get rid of it now. People love it. How long have you had the beard?
Well, when I got back from Europe, I just decided not to shave.
Oh, you didn't have it before that?
No. Well, no. I mean, I've had beards. I grow it on and off. I'll grow it, then I'll shave it off.
You didn't have it for a little while.
I didn't have it like all last year, but I had in 2023. I get bored quick, so I'll grow it out, then it's like a lot of maintenance, then shave it off, then I grow it back out.
But like he can go from like nothing to like full beard in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say a couple of hours. Yeah, he's pretty hairy guy.
He shaves in the morning. There will be a 5 o'clock shadow.
Really? There you go. I think I was like always clean shaven for like just forever, and then last year I think I got really ill in like December, January time. And so I was kind of trapped at home. I couldn't go out, couldn't really do anything. And it's always that awkward middle phase, right? So I was just like, oh, well, I'll grow the beard now. And I said last year, like it was a trial. I was like, I'll keep it for a year and see how it goes. And I think I'm trapped in it now. That's
it looks good.
My kids don't. I said sometimes I said to my daughter, I was like, oh, should I shave it off? No, Daddy, no. I was like, okay, I guess it's staying at least until she can get over it. So that'll be fine. Okay, what a nice topic to finish on. Beards. There we go. So Abbie, obviously you've got Wodapalooza coming up. You've got the Open. We've been trying to get him to shave it for a whole year. Oh, Jake.
No.
And I mean, that's also, I look so young when I'm shaved as well, which doesn't help. Actually, that was like the only thing when we went through COVID here, and like they were requiring people to wear masks in shops and stuff like that. That was when I stopped getting ID'd. Was as soon as I could like cover my face, which is crazy when when I'm almost 40. So that's really
not
worrying.
a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna look great when I'm 60, but that's and maybe I'll be fit enough to compete in the age groups then. We'll see if I keep training now.
Never know.
So anyway, sorry, Wodapalooza, the Open obviously coming up. Is there anything else we should be looking out for where we're going to see Abbie Domit popping up?
I mean, we're kind of sort of we're taking it one step at a time, but we're kind of planning out the year. I know they just released like dates for like the World Fitness Project. We're deciding if we're gonna try some of that stuff. I need to like do my research and fully understand how much of it you need to do, because I'm not quite sure on that, if you have to do all three or if it's like you do one and then you go.
That's the line I keep hearing. I mean, Shelby said almost verbatim the exact same thing. Right. Like, I think I'm going to do it, but I need to work out exactly how much I need to do.
Yes, because it seems like there's a lot going on. I don't think it's like too crazy, everything. Like, I think it's cool. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, then Wodapalooza Open, maybe something with that. And then May would be the first semifinal. So, and then things will just, we'll figure out everything after that.
Make a run for Rogue this year?
Well, so that's another thing, because I saw Rogue with their whole ranking system. I think they're also including, like, I guess all in-person events and like the World Fitness stuff. And so that's another reason I think to do it.
To kind of boost your ranking a bit there.
Yeah, because that was something from last year that I was so bummed out, because they always went top 15 at the games. But last year was the first year that they didn't do that. And they did the ranking. And then I didn't have a good ranking because I had never done Rogue. And all these people who did do Rogue have like a bajillion points just from doing that, whether they even competed at the games or not. And I was just like, dang, like.
Yeah. Because Amanda Barnhart was like not expecting to go to Rogue. Like she had no thought that she was going to go there. And then she said, when they released the ranking system, I was like, whoa, hold on a second. I think I'm in. And so that for her was like, came out of nowhere almost. But for you, it's the opposite, that you're like, great, I'm in that spot that I need. And then, hey, if you can get there this year, that'll be great. We'll see you there.
I really.
Yeah. So it's like a nice goal for the end of the year. How well do I have to do on every other element of fitness throughout the year so that I can be there? And then, hey, maybe and then maybe back to FitFest again. Who knows? Yeah.
Possibly.
Invite you back. That'd be cool. Brilliant. And Antun, like, what are you doing besides following around your wife? What else are you doing?
You're taking it one step further, enjoying life.
Do you do any kind of comps or like any sort of like local throwdowns, anything like that? Or
I'll do like local stuff with friends and stuff like that. Nothing too serious though.
Oh, you ever do a mixed pairs?
Once.
Our first competition, when we our very first competition was us two together. I had been doing CrossFit for a few months. He had been doing it a little bit longer than that.
Like 6 months. Like it was our first comp together.
We did so bad. We got last place.
Hey, but maybe you helped, because she said she's very competitive. So it could be that unknowingly that you helping to drag her down to last place lit that fire that eventually got her to the CrossFit Games.
It did.
I think it part of it.
There you go. Well done.
I'm going to do that competition again. I'll just do it individual, and I need to sign up for all these little local comps, and I have to win all of them to prove it to myself that I am, like, I don't know, I'm getting better or something. And so that's what I did.
Yeah, after that comp, she was like, I'm never doing another competition with you again. She straight up told me.
We're not.
I was definitely holding her back. Like, it's not that I wasn't fit. It's just I was still learning CrossFit. Like one of the events was like with the 53-pound kettlebell overhead squats with one arm. Like That's a
Yeah.
very technical
His-
movement. Like I did
His
not.
mobility just
My
wasn't
mobility. I
there.
had never
Yeah.
done that before in like my class or whatever when I started. I mean, 5 months into it, I'm like, what is this? I have to do this for how many reps? And Abby had really good mobility. I was like, dude, I'm dying over here, you know?
Yeah. Or like max double unders was like a score. And like we had like just learned how to do double unders. And so
It was so bad.
We were like, okay.
I tell you what, I don't compete, but a competition that was like max double unders and favors your mobility, to me, that's my perfect competition. that's like you've just ticked I have so few like positive boxes you can tick in like skills within CrossFit, and you've just like grabbed the two that I'm like, oh, I'm pretty good with my mobility. I'm pretty good at double unders. So okay, send me the details. I'll come over. And then we'll team up together. She won't pair up with you, but I'll pair up with you.
Yeah.
No, I just think now it would be good, Abby. This is so you did it together. You came dead last. You redo these events as an individual to make sure you're getting better. Surely now the ultimate test is, can you do it when you're chained to this dead weight who's pulling you down? But are you now fitness to still win just with what you do? Like you smashed your part so, so far out of the park
that same comp today, we could win it.
Oh, we'd crush it.
We'd crush it.
I'm
a lot better now
too.
too.
Intermediate
right.
comp. Like
It wasn't
even the highest level.
There we go. So let's do it. I look forward to seeing this. If in between Wodapalooza, the Open, hopefully, any in-person semi-final type thing you're doing, the games, we hope, World Fitness Project, whatever elements of that you've got to do, trying to qualify for Rogue, maybe coming back to FitFest. If you can squeeze in this other competition in the middle just to prove to yourself that as a pair you are now far better than you were 6 months into CrossFit, well,
3 months.
3 months for you. Abby's got to make sure we know it's 3 months for her. Okay, thank you so much for making some time for me on a Sunday. I really appreciate it. Thank you everybody that joined us and chipped in with some comments as well. We appreciate you being here. I'm actually back tomorrow evening for me, like 8 p.m. in the UK. Not sure what time that will be where you are in America, but I don't know, Google it, work it out. I'll be with Dana Paran, who was at Rogue this year, so we'll be catching up, as she is also one of the few people like myself not going to Wodapalooza, so she's not worried about traveling. That's perfect. Okay, well, thank you everyone, and thank you again to the lovely Domits.
Thank you everybody. Thank you, Jason, for having